Another Sunday, another album rankings video. This week I get to rank 10 of the best hard rock heavy metal albums of the year 1980. Handpicked by me, by the way. As always, when you're done, you can go back and check out past album rankings episodes in the playlist, which is in the description box. And now, on with the video. Let's begin at number 10 with Def Leppard's debut studio record, On Through the Night. Before conquering the world with albums like Pyromania and Hysteria, Def Leppard's On Through the Night was produced by Tom Allom, a producer who worked on albums from Judas Priest. Released in March of 1980, the record would not reach gold until November of 83, then platinum in May of 89. The standout tracks include Rocks Off, Overture, Wasted, Hello America, and Rock Brigade. Since its release, On Through the Night made it to the top 20 in the UK album charts, while it reached number 51 on the Billboard 200 here in the US. Def Leppard started out slow, but in due time, with future albums, their sound would catapult them to new heights. Next. At number 9 is Iron Maiden's self-titled debut record. Before they conquered the world with a new frontman in Bruce Dickinson, with 1982's The Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden's self-titled debut record had Paul Di'Anno as lead singer and Dennis Stratton as their second guitarist. This would be the only album to feature Dennis Stratton on guitars before he was fired and replaced by Adrian Smith by the next record, Killers. Iron Maiden was released in April of '80. According to members of the band themselves, they criticized producer Will Malone for the quality of the album's production. Thankfully, they chose Martin Birch for the next series of albums, from Killers to Fear the Dark. Despite the criticism, the album made it to number 4 in the UK album charts, achieving prominence in the European markets. The standout tracks include Sanctuary, Running Free, Remember Tomorrow, Phantom of the Opera, and of course, their self-titled track, Iron Maiden. Next, at number 8 is Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. Released in April of 1980, this record is the first to feature Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals and produced by Martin Birch. The album made it to number 28 on the Billboard 200 and went platinum. It also went silver in the UK about 2 years later after its release. The songs that really stood out were the title track Heaven and Hell and Neon Nights. Next, at number 7 is Blizzard of Oz from Ozzy Osbourne. After he was booted out of Black Sabbath in '79, Osbourne was determined to prove a point to himself and to his former Sabbath bandmates by putting together a band of his own comprised of Randy Rhoads, Don Airey, Lee Kerslake, and Bob Daisley to form the Blizzard of Oz and to make the debut record. Even though it was released in the States in March of 1981, it was first released in the UK in September of 1980, achieving moderate success in both the US, which reached number 21 on the Billboard 200, and in the UK, which reached number 7 on their charts, going 5 times platinum here in the States. The standout tracks include I Don't Know, Mr. Crowley, Goodbye to Romance, and Crazy Train. It also included the controversial track Suicide Solution. I'm not going to even get into that. I'll do that when I do the Ozzy Osbourne Blizzard of Oz album review sometime in the future. Next. Here we are at number 6 with Van Halen's Women and Children First. Released in March of 1980, the record features the standout tracks Everybody Wants Some and The Cradle Will Rock. Since its release, the album went number 6 on the Billboard 200 and went triple platinum. It was nowhere near the level that their first 2 albums before this one, but it was good enough to label Women and Children First a successful album for Van Halen. Next. Here we are at number 5 with Motorhead's Ace of Spades. Okay. Ace of Spades is highly regarded as Motorhead's most commercially successful album, reaching the top 5 in the UK album charts. The title track, Ace of Spades, peaked at number 15 on the singles chart. There is another song off Ace of Spades that stood out, which is The Chase is Better Than the Catch. They had a lot of popularity around the late 70s, early 80s, did Motorhead. This is a standout album, to be honest. Next, at number 4 is the Scorpions' Animal Magnetism. Animal Magnetism is the follow-up to Love Drive and the album that will lead up to their next one, Blackout. Animal Magnetism was released in late March of 1980, featuring the standout songs Make It Real and A Zoo. Since its release, the album made it to number 51 on the Billboard 200, also going platinum, by the way, and reached number 12 in their home country of Germany. They would reach more success in the United States in the years to come, following Animal Magnetism. Next, we reach number 3 in its Journey's Departure. Released on February the 29th, 1980. Departure reached number 8 on the Billboard 200, the first Journey album to hit the top 10 in the Billboard 200, by the way, and went 3 times platinum, triple platinum, and features the standout hit Any Way You Want It. This would be the last Journey album to feature a founding member and keyboardist Gregg Rolie. He would soon leave the band and was replaced by Jonathan Cain for the next Journey album, Escape. By the way, check out that best hard rock heavy metal albums of 1981 if you haven't already. Next, reaching number 2 is Judas Priest's British Steel. Heavy metal music would not be a thing that year if it wasn't for British Steel. It was Judas Priest's sixth studio effort, released in April of 1980. Even though Screaming for Vengeance, which would be released 2 years later, would surpass this one, British Steel cracked the Billboard 200 at number 34 and would go platinum, while in their home country it reached number 4 on their album charts and would go silver. British Steel was the album that broke Judas Priest in America, and Scream for Vengeance in 1982 would catapult him to new heights. The standout tracks are Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight. Also check out Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, and Grinder 2 if you love their thrashy hooks. Next, and here we are at number 1 with AC/DC's Back in Black. It is AC/DC's most successful album ever, released in July of 1980, and was recently covered on episode 28 on my album review series. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Globally, Back in Black sold at an estimate of 50 million copies, making it one of the best-selling albums in music history, reaching number 1 in their home country of Australia and in the UK, and reached number 4 on the Billboard 200. Every song stood out on this album, including the first top 40 hit in America, You Shook Me All Night Long, and the killer opener, Hell's Bells. Here is a quick recap of the best rock metal albums of 1980. While Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, two bands who became the most successful out of all the bands in that new wave of British heavy metal scene in the late 70s, early 80s, continue to achieve global success today. Black Sabbath was finding themselves after replacing Ozzy with Ronnie Dio, while Ozzy himself was set to establish himself as a solo artist. Van Halen's third album was not as at the level that the first 2 albums were, but was still successful nonetheless. Motorhead reached their commercially successful peak with Ace of Spades. The Scorpions was still growing in popularity in the States as well as all over the globe. Journey had hit its stride with Departure, while Judas Priest and AC/DC were making it big in America with their respective albums, British Steel and Back in Black, respectively. You can expect a new episode of Album Rankings every single Sunday. Don't you believe